Good evening. Welcome to NDWG Democratic TV. Tonight, the past actions shape our future.
Tonight, we reflect on a powerful lesson from African political history, a lesson that still speaks loudly to our present moment. On the 6th of April, 1959, in Orlando, South Africa, a group of young African intellectuals and organizers formed the first national executive of the Pan Africanist Congress under the leadership of Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe. They were not gathered to ask for small reforms. They were gathered to confront a system. Apartheid was not simply a political arrangement. It was a system built on the belief that a minority had the permanent right to rule over the majority. Sobukwe and his colleagues rejected that idea completely. Their position was clear. Political power must ultimately reflect the will and dignity of the majority of people. But here is the important part. They did not simply talk about it. They organized. They built structures. They developed ideas. They mobilized communities. They studied the system they opposed, and they challenged it strategically. They selected the past laws, the daily humiliation imposed on African people, as the point of confrontation. Instead of violent uprising, they used disciplined mass action. Thousands of people walked into police stations without their passes. They demanded arrest. They refused to plead before laws they believed had no moral legitimacy. The regime answered with bullets. History remembers the Sharperville massacre. But history also remembers something else: the power of organized people. Oppressive systems do not fear slogans. They fear disciplined citizens. They fear organized youth. They fear movements that understand both their rights and their responsibilities. Sobukwe's generation understood something that many societies sometimes forget. Authority may sit in government offices, but real power ultimately lives in the people. Today, across Africa and within Zimbabwe, citizens are debating the future of political leadership, governance, and democracy, including conversations around the proposed 2030 agenda associated with ZANUPF. Different people hold different views about this future, but history gives us a guiding principle that transcends party politics. Legitimacy must always come from the people. No political system can remain strong if it loses the confidence, participation, and trust of the citizens it governs. That is why the story of Sobukwe's generation matters today. Most of them were young. They were lecturers, teachers, workers, students, writers, and community organizers. They were fathers and mothers raising families under an unjust system. They were not older than us. They were not freer than us. But they were clear. Clear about the future they wanted, clear about the responsibility they carried, and clear about the discipline required to organize change. Every generation faces its own challenge. For Sobukwe's generation, the challenge was open racial oppression. For this generation, the challenge is different. Sometimes it is political division. Sometimes it is economic uncertainty. Sometimes it is apathy, and sometimes it is distraction. The modern world moves fast. Information travels instantly. Opinions multiply every minute. But real change still requires the same ingredients it always has: clarity, organization, participation, and discipline. History does not move simply because we remember it. History moves when citizens act responsibly, engage courageously, and organize constructively. The question for our generation, especially the youth of Africa and Zimbabwe, is not whether past generations produced courageous leaders. The real question is whether this generation will produce the same level of responsibility and discipline in shaping the future. Democracy is not sustained by silence. It is sustained by informed citizens who participate in shaping their societies. The future of any nation should never be decided by fear, frustration, or resignation. It should be shaped by engaged citizens who understand both their rights and their duties. Sobukwe's generation reminds us that history is not written by spectators. It is written by people who organize, who participate, and who take responsibility for the direction of their societies. The challenge before us is simple but profound, not just to remember history but to learn from it. This is Mija for NDWG Democratic TV. Good night.
Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.